about my NFL predictions for 2018 and where Brandon was right and where Brandon was wrong. So let's first start with the AFC East. So New England, I predicted them to go 14-2, the number 2 seed, and I predicted them to win Super Bowl 53, but against my Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, they ended up going 11-5, which was still good enough for the 2 seed, and they're playing Super Bowl 53 tomorrow against the Rams. And if you missed it, I predicted them to win the game 38-31. Now, with the Miami Dolphins, this is where Brandon was extremely wrong. The Miami Dolphins, the team that for some reason I just don't like. I thought they were going to go 1-15. I thought they had the worst roster in the league. Turns out they had a very average roster. They went 7-9, and Adam Gase got fired. I don't like Adam Gase. I don't like the Dolphins as a whole. I don't like that they're going to hire the Patriots defensive coordinator. I just have never liked the Dolphins, and I hope they stay in misery for a long time. Sorry, fans that are watching in Miami. I don't like the Heat either, and I don't like the Marlins. So, if you think I'm a Miami hater, I probably am. The Bills, I thought they'd go 5-11. I thought Josh Allen would, come in midway for the year. They ended up going 6-10. So, they gained one more game. Jets, I was really wrong about. Todd Bowles did really well with Josh McCown. I thought the players liked him. They didn't. I thought they'd get off to a hot start and finish the year cooling down and go 6-10. They ended up only going 3-13, getting the 3rd pick in the draft again and firing Todd Bowles. The AFC West. Now, this division I was wrong about because I had the Chiefs only going 8-8. Look, I wasn't a fan of Patrick Mahomes coming out. I don't like my quarterback throwing no-look passes, okay? I like my quarterback throwing normal passes, and I don't like my quarterback talking like Kermit the Frog. I couldn't understand him. I would never draft Patrick Mahomes, okay? You may say I'm biased as a coach or whatever, but I don't like my quarterback talking like Kermit the Frog. Alright? The Chiefs, I thought they'd go 8-8. They ended up 12-4 the number 1 seed in the AFC Championship game and went full Reed. Who expected that? Everybody. The Chargers. Now, I thought the Chargers would go 10-6 and be the 4 seed and then lose to the Texans in the wild card round in Houston. In LA, because they'd be the 4 seed. Houston would be the 5. They ended up going 12-4 and being the 5 seed because the Chiefs were so good. And they watched the Patriots in brutal fashion in the divisional round. I was really impressed with Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn was one of those coaches that I thought would be a good coach, not great. I'm really impressed with the way Anthony Lynn has rallied the troops, especially in his rookie year starting out 0-4. That's what shows you a good coach. Denver, I thought they'd go 5-11. They actually finished 6-10. Oakland, I was high on John Gruden at the beginning of the year. Then I thought they'd fizzle out and finish 7-9. They actually went 4-12. So I was really wrong on Oakland. AFC North, Baltimore, I thought they'd go 8-8. I thought Lamar Jackson would get in at the end of the year. They actually went 10-6. Number 4 seed, they watched the Chargers in the wild card round. Pittsburgh, I thought they'd be the number 3 seed. I thought they'd go 10-6 and lose to New England in the divisional round. They actually went 9-6-1 and missed the playoffs. There's a lot of drama in Pittsburgh. I didn't think the Le'Veon Bell situation would have happened the whole year. Guess what? It did. Sorry about that, Pittsburgh. They have a lot of mess to figure out on their hands. The Browns, I thought they'd go 6-10. I thought Odd Haley would actually get them to a 6-7 record because I thought he would go 0-3 and get fired after the Jets game, and Haley would take over as the interim head coach, not Greg Williams. I was wrong about that. They ended up going 7-8-1. The Bengals, I nailed it. I thought they'd go 6-10. They finished 6-10. Marvin Lewis is fired. Now, the AFC South, I thought was the strongest division in the AFC, and I thought the AFC was a lot weaker than the NFC. Turns out I was wrong. I thought Jacksonville would have the number 1 seed in the AFC. I thought they'd go 14-2. Guess what? They went 5-11. Jacksonville to me is mysterious, man. They have a great defense. They just quit on Doug Marrone, in my opinion. And Blake Bortles, to me, isn't a bad quarterback. They just quit. Leonard Fournette. Don't get it. He was hurt the whole year. That was the one team, I said it before, I wouldn't pay a running back. Maybe I would in Jacksonville, because Leonard Fournette's the train that keeps that engine going. TJ Yeldon couldn't do it, and I don't understand why. When you have a hole, just run for the hole. Excuse me, Leonard Fournette was the only one that could run for the hole. They must have a terrible running backs coach. I don't understand it. Houston, I thought they would go 11-5, be the number 5 seed in the AFC and lose to New England in the AFC Championship. They actually went 11-5, but they were the 3 seed, and they lost to the Colts in the wild card round. Man, Houston, you have a lot of talent. Houston might have the most talent in the AFC. They have a great offense, a great defense, and they fail every year in the playoffs. Bill Bryant, it's just like Andy Reid. Let's see. Tennessee, they had a lot of injuries, so they finished 9-7. I thought they would go 8-8, so I was pretty close to that. I thought they would make the playoffs, though, because I thought the AFC was weak. I thought they'd get the 6th seed and lose to Pittsburgh in the wild card round. Let's go to the NFC. I thought my Eagles would run away with the NFC East. I thought they'd be 12-4, but I thought they'd actually be the 4th seed. That's how good I thought the top 4 seeds were in the NFC. I thought they'd lose to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. We all know what happened with my team. Excuse me. Dallas, I thought they'd go 5-11. They actually won the division 10-6. Who knew that they were going to get Amari Cooper and he was going to be that good in Dallas? I thought Dallas had a mediocre roster, and they did until they got Amari Cooper. He changed their whole life. Washington, I nailed it. I thought they'd go 7-9. Alex Smith got hurt. They probably would have been better than 7-9. The Giants, I thought they'd go 5-11, and they did. So I nailed those 2 teams. The Rams, I thought they'd go 12-4 and be the number 3 seed and lose to us in the NFC Championship game. They were actually the number 2 seed and are playing tomorrow in the Super Bowl, and they will lose to New England 38-31. Again, the Rams, if you missed it, I said earlier, I thought they need to score at least 41 points because Doug Peterson did it last year, and everybody says Sean McVay is a better coach than Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson did it with a backup quarterback, an injured Darren Sproles, no Jordan Hicks, no Jason Peters, no Chris Maragos. And still the offense put up 41 points. And I think the Rams do have better offensive talent than we do. I'll admit it. And I doubt they put up 41 against Bill Belichick. And by the way, the defense for New England is worse this year than last year. And Bill Belichick's lost his fastball on defense, much like Nick Saban does at Alabama. Seattle, I thought they'd be terrible this year. I thought they'd go 5-11. They ended up being 10-6 and losing to Dallas in the wild card round. They were my surprise of the year in real life. San Francisco, too bad what happened to Jimmy G happened. They finished 4-12. I had them going 8-8 with a full Jimmy G. That would have probably been possible. Cardinals, I thought they'd go 6-10. They ended up getting the number 1 pick in the draft at 3-13. Shocking, the number 1 pick in the draft was at 3-13 because last year, obviously, it was 0-16. And if the Browns would have won 3 games, they still would have the number 1 pick last year. So I think the NFL, when you see a 3-win team at the number 1 pick, that's a good sign that at least we have more competition. In the North, I was high on the Packers. I had them going 13-3. My buddy Alex Wilcox, who hosts that show Tuesdays from 8 to 10 p.m., I believe. I can get the time on that because I believe they switched slots. Alex Wilcox and Campbell Rico. Alex Wilcox, big Packers fan. He was telling us all these stories Monday night about the Packers and how they pretty much ruined his childhood because they didn't surround enough talent around Aaron Rodgers. I completely agree with him. I had Green Bay going 13-3, being the number 2 seed and losing to the Rams in the divisional round. That didn't happen. They went 6-9-1 and fired Mike McCarthy. I did think that the Vikings would go 9-7. Quinn Griffin, obviously, co-host of BSR Victory, with Dylan and Dante. Big Vikings fan. I thought they'd go 9-7. They ended up going 8-7-1. Pretty close. If they didn't have that tie against Green Bay, they would be in the playoffs of the Eagles, and they would be 9-7. Chicago, I missed on Chicago. I thought they'd be 6-10. They were 12-4. All 4 losses by a field goal, and they were the number 3 seed. Excuse me. Of course, losing to Philly in the wild card round off the Cody Parkey missed field goal, which was actually tipped by Trayvon Esther. So don't kill Cody Parkey. That was Trayvon Esther who made the play on that. I don't think the Bears are the best team in the world. I just think they have a great defense and a really good offensive coach in Matt Nagy who makes the most out of talent. Because the Bears' offense is arguably as good as the Rams. And Sean McVay. Can you guys tell I'm just sick of Sean McVay? I just am. I'm as sick of Sean McVay already as I am of Hugh Jackson. I'm being completely honest with you. The Lions, I thought they'd go 4-12. They ended up going 6-10. Like, okay. I really missed on the NFC South. Because I thought there would be 3 teams in the South that made the playoffs, and they were the worst division in the NFC, turns out. I thought the Saints would go 13-3. I thought the Falcons would go 9-7. And I thought Carolina would go 10-6. Guess what? Saints went 13-3. Atlanta and Carolina went 7-9. And Tampa Bay went 5-11. I did hit on Tampa Bay. I thought they'd go 5-11. But I thought the Saints would go 13-3, which they did. I thought they'd be the number 1 seed. I had the Saints losing to Philly in the divisional round, which could have happened if Alshon Jeffrey made that catch. I was pretty right on the Saints. Atlanta, they had an injury-filled year. They have all new coordinators. We'll see how good they do next year. I thought they'd go 9-7 and lose to the Rams in LA in the wild card round in a rematch of last year's playoffs. That didn't happen. I thought Carolina would lose to the Eagles in the wild card round, and that didn't happen. Cam Newton may not play all of next year. There's been talks about Carolina possibly getting Nick Foles. If I'm Carolina, I don't trade for anybody, and I try to get the number 1 pick. And I trade Cam Newton in the offseason for another number 1 pick, and I pick one of those quarterbacks coming out. Whether it's Tua, or maybe you wait another year for the best quarterback I've seen in Trevor Lawrence. I love that kid, Trevor Lawrence. I didn't see much of the national championship game, but every time I turned it on, Trevor Lawrence is throwing touchdowns. Clemson killed Alabama. Let's see here. What was the score? I have it written down somewhere. Let me find it in my notes. 44-16, Clemson. They killed Alabama. Nick Saban lost his fastball on defense, and Trevor Lawrence just kept hitting changeups. Bang, out of the park. Bang, out of the park. Sorry, but Trevor Lawrence is the next great quarterback in the league, and if I'm Carolina, I maybe tank 2 years, because the Giants are going to try to do that. That's why they're playing Eli. But Carolina, Cam Newton may not play next year with that shoulder injury, and Oakland's going to try to get a quarterback because there's no quarterback this year. John Gruden's not a fan of Derek Carr. There's going to be all these quarterbacks trying to go after Tua, who I don't love. There's Cardell Jones this year, you already know I don't love. There are all these quarterbacks, that I don't like Tua. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think Cardell Jones will be a great NFL quarterback. He could be a starter for a year or 2, and then he'll be a career backup. Nick Foles is a career backup who fits Doug Peterson's system. Take it from me first. Nick Foles is not the best quarterback in the world, and that's why I'm not mad that we're moving off from him. No, we shouldn't keep him. Carson Wentz, the franchise quarterback. I said that all along. People have asked me about Nick Foles, and I start laughing. Because Nick Foles is literally a great quarterback under Doug Peterson's system, and the rest, he's just a backup quarterback. As an Eagles fan, there are some Eagles fans that love Nick Foles, and I love Nick Foles to death too, but I'm a realistic Eagles fan. There are a lot of Eagles fans that want to trade Carson Wentz, and they're crazy. And I know they're crazy because of their takes beforehand. Carson Wentz is the future, and Nick Foles is not a great quarterback. He's a career backup, borderline starter. He's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if I'm Carolina, I don't go after him. I think the Giants said they want to try to steal him from us, which go ahead. It'll hurt inside seeing Nick Foles in a blue uniform, but he won't be good in New York. There's just all this talk about Nick Foles having a market. I wouldn't go after Nick Foles if I was these teams. I'd wait for 2 years because I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be an amazing quarterback. Whoever gets him, which should be Carolina, by the way. Or maybe New Orleans tanks, because they're looking for a quarterback. I don't think Drew Brees is around in 2-3 years. You're going to have one of these teams trying to get Trevor Lawrence. If I'm New England, I offer a boatload for the number 1 pick in 2 years and go get Trevor Lawrence to replace Tom Brady. He'd fit their system. If Josh McDaniels is there after Belichick, he'd fit that system perfectly. That's how high I am on Trevor Lawrence. Hey guys, this is Brandon Lewis from Brandon's World here. Make sure you leave a like and comment right down below. And make sure you check out the show every Saturday from 10 to noon on BuckStoreRadio.com, the internet, or right here on the YouTube channel. Thanks, and you guys already know. See ya! It's out of here. It's Brandon's World.